Howdy, y'all. This is Proverbs 19 in the NIRV for October 19, 2023. It's better to be poor and to live without blame than to be foolish and to twist words around. Getting excited about something without knowledge isn't good. It's even worse to be in a hurry and miss the way. A person's own foolish acts destroy their life, but their heart is angry with the Lord. Wealth brings many friends, but even the closest friend of a poor person abandons them. A dishonest witness will be punished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free. Many try to win the favor of rulers, and everyone is the friend of a person who gives gifts. Poor people are avoided by their whole family. Their friends avoid them even more. The poor person runs after his friends to beg for help, but they can't be found. Anyone who gets wisdom gets life. Anyone who gets understanding, anyone who values understanding, will soon succeed. A dishonest witness will be punished, and those who pour out lies will die. It isn't proper for a foolish person to live in great comfort, and it is much worse when a slave rules over princes. A person's wisdom makes them patient. They will be honored if they forgive someone who sins against them. A king's anger is like a lion's roar, but his favor is like the dew on the grass. A foolish child is a father's ruin. A nagging wife is like a dripping that never stops. You will receive houses and wealth from your parents, but a wise wife is given by the Lord. Anyone who doesn't want to work sleeps his life away, and a person who refuses to work goes hungry. Those who keep commandments keep their lives, but those who don't care how they live will die. Anyone who is kind to poor people leads to the Lord. Anyone who is kind to poor people lends to the Lord. God will reward them for what they've done. Train your children, because then there's hope. Don't do anything to bring about their deaths. A person with a bad temper must pay for it. If you save them, you will have to do it again. Listen to advice and accept correction. In the end, you will be counted among those who are wise. A person may have many plans in their heart, but the Lord's purpose wins out in the end. Everyone longs for love that never fails. It's better to be poor than to be a liar. Having respect for the Lord leads to life. Then you will be content and free from trouble. A person who doesn't want to work leaves his hand in the dish. He won't even bring it back up to his mouth. If you whip a person who makes fun of others, childish people will learn to be wise. If you warn those who already understand what is right, they will gain even more knowledge. Anyone who robs their father and drives out their mother is a child who brings shame and dishonor. My son, if you stop listening to what I teach you, you will wander away from the words of knowledge. A dishonest witness makes fun of what is right. The mouths of those who do wrong gulp down evil. Those who make fun of others will be judged. Foolish people will be punished. Sorry. It never fails. You try to do something on your phone and suddenly everybody wants to text you and every headline's popping up. Several things here. Better to be poor and live without blame, right? Better to be poor than to be a liar. Getting excited about something without knowledge isn't good. So I'm looking at this like business investment, right? I think it's also like woo-woo TikTok spirituality right now, right? Because people are just like, did you know Halloween is the devil? And it's kind of like, you mean the thing that we celebrated All Saints Day on, like the night before that day to celebrate the saints? Sam Hain. Well, that historically was like a time of games and feasting and stuff like that, because the religious practice month was kind of like September. We were back there. And as far as like harvest and fall and marking the seasons, like, duh. So I think there's a good way to practice things, and there's a bad way to practice things. Let's just leave it at that for now. We can get into it if somebody wants to. But also, like, oh, I heard this thing, so now I believe it. Well, that's your cue to go find out more and research the claim, not just accept it because it sounds neat or countercultural, to the message that you've been exposed to. It's even worse to be in a hurry and miss the way. Oh, I gotta hack to spirituality, to just up your game, right? We love motivational hacks and things like that. A person's own foolish acts destroy their life, but their heart is angry with the Lord. This is like that meme where somebody's riding a bike, right? And then they stick the stick in the spokes of the front wheel and go flying. And the next one is them shaking their fist, at whoever. Pardon me. It was God that did this to me. What? Did it to yourself. You don't even have the understanding to look at your life and your decisions and figure out you reap what you sow. You did this. You did this. Wealth brings many friends. It's not in scare quotes here, but it's like wealth brings many friends. Because as soon as you don't have that money or that access, you're going to find out who your real friends are. You're going to find out. It's just the way of the world. And the worse off you are, the less people want to have to do with you. That's not right, but it is how it is. So I think part of it too is the Proverbs repeats that we're supposed to be working, we're supposed to be trying, we're supposed to be diligent. So if you're just poor and like reaching for a handout, especially from your friends, like they're gonna get tired of that. When you need help, ask for help. Absolutely. If you always need help, you need to ask them to help you assess the situation, because something's going on here. Anyone who gets wisdom loves life, and if you value understanding, you'll soon succeed. Praying for that one, you know what I mean? They'll be honored. A person's wisdom makes them patient. One of the big themes of what I'm working on here. They will be honored if they forgive someone who sins against them. I try. I thought somebody was going to want to fight me last night. Really, when they went back inside, just a second, I really thought they were going to get something to take the package from me by force. And I mean, this was over some kids that were 20, but you need to be 21 for tobacco and alcohol on the service, right? So you got to scan your ID. So it's like, well, I'm underage, and here, I paid for it. It's like, that's not how this works. I got to scan your ID or I can't release it. It was kind of like, give it to me. I was like, no, I can't. Well, take the thing out and give it to me. And I was like, I can't do that either. It's not my order to touch. I just bring the thing from the warehouse to you. If I can't give you the order in its entirety, I'm not taking something out to try to sort it out with support. So it got at least one-sidedly heated, and I had to stand firm. But I told him, I was like, look, man, I'm willing to work with you, but I'm standing here losing money. I'm on a delivery that's now made me $0. I'm all the way across town and I got to go all the way back. I can't even just call tonight and go home, which is nearby. And that's when it was like, yeah, I'll be back. I was like, uh-oh. So you got to watch it. Got to watch it. Foolish people do foolish things. Not everybody's working to contain themselves, right? Their anger, their reactions, their wrath. A foolish child is a father's ruin. Man. I've been watching Friends, and some of them have done their job and have good kids, and it's just the way, right? Teenage kids, they're going to push back, they're going to find themselves kind of thing. But then I watch others who haven't done it appropriately, or there's some other factor involved, and like, oh man, I don't envy that. I hope that I do a good enough job raising my kids in the Lord that I don't ever have to regard my kids as foolish. I get frustrated with them. I consider them foolish at times, but they're little kids. You know what I mean? So as they grow into adulthood, I hope that we continue a good relationship. Moreover, that they find the Lord and have a good relationship. A nagging wife is like a dripping that never stops. You just want a moment of peace. You just want to get along. Maybe you just want to have a nice meal. Or you just want to be responded to in a soft way. Choose wisely, gentlemen. Pray about it. Look for it in the right places, right? I'm not saying the apps are bad. I'm saying you probably aren't going to find a godly woman hanging out on Tinder. And I'm saying maybe Hinge and Bumble. Maybe. Let's start the conversation correctly, if you do. And then there's Christian-only services, right? Or Christian-centered ones. I can't attest to those. However, I would say approach cautiously like anything else. Moreover, and I will drag on my little soapbox here and hop on it. You can't find somebody that's going to make you happy. You got to worry about getting your own stuff together, making your own way, making your own happiness, and then adding somebody, inviting somebody into your life to share that with you. That's what we're supposed to do. Not look for like, oh, I'm a missing puzzle piece and then I'll be right, then I'll be... That's not how it works. Similarly, that person has to be mature enough for you, or mature enough with themselves that they can sit with themselves and they can choose to be happy and do the work, because you can't do it for them. Even if they're lazy and they really, 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 really want you to, because it's like hard and unpleasant. They got to do it. A wise wife is given by the Lord. If you're walking in the way, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, the Lord will present her to you. The situation. I don't know how else to put it. I was not doing perfect when I moved up here in my walk, but I was doing, right? I was trying. And that's kind of how it worked out. The situation presented itself. I'm not saying it was clear that she was the one for me immediately, like voice of God, but it became clear. She needed me and my family and my leadership and example because of her family and situation that she was in. And I needed her because she makes me grow as a person. It's easy to ignore your faults when you're by yourself and you have transient people in your life. But when you have somebody that sees you day in, day out, sees how you react, it's definitely different. And you can take that as a source of conflict, or you can take that as a path to improvement. An identifier for the next waypoint on your own journey. Share my experience with you. I don't want to call out anybody. I wish he was watching or listening. Anyone who doesn't want to work sleeps his life away, and a person who refuses to work goes hungry. I don't understand how you could just be happy on disability or insurance. If you can use that money and make the most of it and be happy and successful, great. If you're using that money to scrape your existence by and not even try, I pray for you. I pray for that person that I'm thinking of. Those who keep commandments keep their lives, but those who don't care how they live will die. If you're meditating on the word, keeping commandments, thinking about it constantly, you're probably going to slow down in your decision making and reflect on some of the things you're doing. And if you don't, or you're a scoffer or a mocker, somebody who thinks like, no, that's all silly, that's not for me, that too will affect your decision making process. And then there's death, and then there's real death, the final death, the eternal death. I want no part of that, no sir. If you're kind to poor people, you lend to the Lord. Lead to the Lord? It's the A-N thing, I don't know. If you're kind to poor people, you lend to the Lord. God will reward them for what they've done. I'm looking at it like long-term investment, right? Interest. I don't need payback right now. I will give what I can give to the people that the Father tells me to give to. And then hopefully, if I'm doing that in the right spirit, doing that correctly, when we go to our judgment as Christians, as believers, those will be some of the things that don't burn up. Maybe I'll have a little reward in heaven. You know what I mean? My couple of dollars feeding somebody or just trying to help somebody out, maybe that just gets me. I don't. That's what's so weird about heaven to me, and that I don't need a reward, right? It's heaven. Jesus said there's a place for me there. So it's something of a mystery. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean we'll have better stuff, a better place in heaven? No, I don't even think it means like that. It's almost like more responsibility in the new heaven and the new earth. You've proven that you can be trusted with your time, talent, and treasure on this fleeting planet, and the reward for doing all that properly and doing that in the spirit, the reward is more heaven. We know that there are jobs in heaven, right? There are 2 angels mentioned in the Bible. Catholics don't go nuts on me. There are more angels named, I believe, in the pseudepigrapha, which I just got that new set, so I will be reading through it. I flipped through it, and it's like completely foreign to me. I've only heard a couple of snippets of verses. I wish I had a good Catholic friend who could come alongside me and look at this with me and explore this with me, because that's what I'm about. With that necessary friction. In any case, when I do things, I hesitate to even let my wife know Because you're not, Jesus talked about, like, we're not supposed to let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, right? We're not supposed to boast about it. We're not supposed to use it to show off. It's like, I want to tell her, not for the sake of, like, look at this thing I did, but kind of like, hey, look at this thing I did. Follow my lead, right? We're telling the kids, so then the kids are like, why did you do that? Follow my lead. One day the kids watched me hop out the car and park them and hop out the car and try to help somebody push a car down the street and get it jump started, and there's another word, right? When you do it with the clutch instead of the cables. In any case, push it down the street. That didn't work. Push it, I don't know, a block down the street, because apparently that's where he was staying. And I was like, why did you do that? I was like, because the person needed help. And I didn't offer much explanation other than that. And the oldest basically came away with, like, because that's what we're supposed to do. You know? Like, what would Jesus do, right? As Christians, do we help our neighbor? So train your child, because there's hope. Because then there is hope. Don't do anything to bring about their deaths. That means you don't be stupid. You don't let them be stupid. And you don't bring them around people that are stupid. You understand? Don't be stupid. Bad company corrupts good morals. And it only takes one time for someone to make a bad judgment call with, let's say, around your kids, but with your kids. Do something to your kids, and there's no retribution that fixes your kid. So don't bring your kids around stupid people. Don't bring your kids around foolish people. By foolish, I mean specifically what God says is foolish. Is what it is. That being said, that should cover a litany of places that your kids shouldn't be. And there are places that others shouldn't be where there are kids. You know what I'm saying? Like a library, and like stuff in schools where a lot of kids are several grade levels behind, because after COVID, we're more worried about social justice issues and things like that in the classroom than we are actually teaching our kids. If you don't know, look into it. A lot of kids in this country have like a 3-year gap. They're 3 years behind where they should be. So your 7th grader is more like a 4th grader. You know what I mean? And that is not good for our high school. That means our high school kids are still basically back in junior high. We need to pray for the country and the kids and set a better example. A person with a bad temper must pay for it. If you save them, they'll have to do it again. Man, that sounds like exactly what I'm talking about right now. My baby can do no wrong. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how the police shot him robbing a store. He was such a good kid. Listen to advice, accept correction. In the end, you'll be counted among those who are wise. Wouldn't that be my prayer? Try to listen to advice and accept correction, so that people aren't like, look at Cheetah, dummy. I don't even say like, what a wise person that Cheetah is. That wise, bearded dude. I don't need any of that. I just need people to say, that guy looks like he's following the way. And the way being obvious, following behind Jesus. A person may have many plans in their heart, but the Lord's purpose wins out in the end. So I made a video trying to be funny. About 5 minutes long. It was on the discount condom front. But it was all about this, right? The Lord's purpose wins out in the end. You can plan your way. You can say whatever you want to say. But in the end, the Lord's purpose is going to win out. Whether you kick, scream, do whatever you want to do. Let's just say pray for me. because we got a series of news on that front. And now we're just kind of waiting and praying. Indeed, that's all we can do. Sorry, trying to figure out if that's my engine or the couple of raindrops coming to sprinkle. I'm just about to run a large route, and it looks like I am about to do it in the rain. What can you do? This one is profound and kind of sad. Everyone longs for love that never fails. It's better to be poor than a liar. Sorry, it's one verse, but these two verses, right? Everyone longs for love that never fails. Profound and sad. It's like the human condition, right? But then the next line, it's better to be poor than a liar. What? I suppose, meaning, don't tell people what they want to hear just to gain their acceptance. Maybe I'm way off base on this combination of verses. But the next two says, having respect for the Lord leads to life. Then you will be content and free from trouble. So in the end, this is the way to get that love. It's the way that I'm reading these set of verses. I can't tell. We'll find out, I suppose. If you whip a person in front of others if you whip a person who makes fun of others, childish people will learn to be wise. It's like Singapore caning people. Maybe not the worst approach, right? Sometimes you gotta dole out some spankings. Make sure you're understood. If you warn someone who's already if you warn those who understand what is right, they will gain even more knowledge. Those are the people I want to hang out with. Not the people who rob their father, drive out their mother. And I don't want to say I know people like that, because I try to not hang out with those people. I'm acquaintances with people like that. Basically, anything goes. My parents are dumb. Whatever. I'll take it if I can get it. It's not right. 100% not right. Oh, I really like this. I might have to write it on a Post-it note, right, and stick in the office or in the mirror. My son, if you stop listening to what I teach you, you will wander away from the words of knowledge. And some interesting imagery. Dishonest witness makes fun of what is right. The mouths of those who do wrong gulp down evil. Drinking it, right? Like water. I was trying to compare it, right? Like the waters of life and then evil, wickedness. They're just abiding in their flesh. I don't know. Those who make fun of others will be judged, and foolish people will be punished. I sure hope so. I really hate watching, not even the news anymore. Even meme channels get hard to watch, because it's just like the world's going crazy pants. All right, I gotta start my delivery. I was speaking to a buddy about raising boys, right? And girls too, but artifacts. How do you feel about handing down physical artifacts? So I just got my new Bibles. I'm all excited about it. I mentioned last night in my sleepiness. And I want to show those off, but I got to get a sunlit, nice location. She's got one. I've got one. I've got matching notebooks. I'm always about the notebooks. I like moleskins. But at the same time, like, I never finish them. I've been given so many nice leather journals and stuff in my day, and like never able to like journal and diary. Not super interested. Made a couple of entries here and there, but learned more about a compendium and a commonplace book and a book of wisdom. And a commonplace book coined by Aristotle. I'm trying to think of the order. And then Quintilian started adding, it was like common places that we visit in rhetoric, and you write that down so that you know it. And then they would start doing like their own quotes and inserting more rhetoric to support their argument and stuff. So sorry, watching what's going on around me. That's more what I do, right? It's not even like a compendium. It's more like a commonplace book. It's like all this stuff that I learn and all these quotes and all my drawings and all my notes. So more on that later. If you are still watching this for some reason, thank you. I really appreciate it. Do you journal? You like to write? You got my nice fountain pen. Let me know what your process is. I'm going to try to do kind of like a prayer journal as well as the thought with this new Bible. So, gonna give it a shot. Go with God. Be blessed. Be better every day.